What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Infield Chatter podcast. I'm Eric Henderson.
And I'm Tyler Ross.
There it is. That was my throat and Tyler Ross.
We're going to figure out how we want to do this.
Baseball season's starting, baby. Today's the first day of squad practice games at spring training.
The Red Sox are playing a college team. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes, one of the many Huskies out there. But no, it's box scores are being officially recorded today.
I'm excited to see who's looking good coming out of training camp.
I'm pretty stoked on it. But today's topic is going to be all the off-season moves, in case nobody's been paying attention to what's gone down over the last couple of months. There's been a lot of huge transactions, if you ask me. If we can call
the money is flowing in the off-season.
Yeah, and so we could just dive right into it. Personally,
let's do it.
The biggest one there was Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million for the New York Yankees. The ultimate payoff on betting on yourself, I would say. I mean, he declined. I think that's a baller move, what he did to the Yankees, personally, where he was like, if we can't make a deal, don't fucking talk to me about it until the season's over. And
I appreciate when players are like, listen, let me just play the game and we'll figure it out after. This is my decision, done. Lamar Jackson kind of said he was going to do that this year, and it seemed like he kind of balked on following through with that. But you got to really appreciate Aaron Judge going out, I mean, having the most home runs in Major League Baseball. Broke the record.
That's like some unprecedented shit right there.
Yeah, I mean, because you think anything could have happened where that number doesn't get there if he hurts himself in any capacity in a major way, if he starts showing
27 home runs instead.
Well, you hear these players talking about going into arbitration or the meetings, trials or whatever, and then they find out from the teams, oh, actually, we don't value that much for what you do. But I mean, I'd love to see someone argue to Aaron Judge that he isn't doing as much as he's worth at this point. He's proven it.
That was like a blank check situation. It was like, tell us what you want, Mr. Judge.
Seriously.
We'll pay you.
I mean, he's the most dominant person I would feel in baseball. And New York is known for having huge star players like that. And I think now he's really showing he is that person. So good
he
for
really
him.
is. And then I've been a fan of him since he showed up. I kind of figured he was destined to do great things and phenomenal things. He has the character of a superstar. He's so humble and still so team oriented. He doesn't really care too much about his personal achievements. He still has the ultimate goal in mind to win the World Series. And so just his humbleness is something that I appreciate in the time like this, because we all know that if Bryce Harper was leading the National League in home runs, he'd be doing hair flips and flexing and never shutting the fuck up about it.
I think also I feel like there's certain players this fits the mold, but certain players look like they should be in a Yankees uniform.
Absolutely.
Certain players look like wearing a uniform. It's you were born to be a New York Yankees player, all buttoned up in the pinstripes, getting out there in New York. Bryce Harper, he could be a face on any team. And I don't mean that as a slight to Bryce Harper, but he just looks like a guy that could be on any squad. So
absolutely. Yeah, no, Aaron Judge, he looks like he bleeds those pinstripes. He's the perfect fit for it.
Agreed.
To be honest, it'd be weird in a random alternative universe if he signed a 9-year, $300 million contract with the Marlins. It would look weird.
Yeah. All of a sudden, he's shipping off to Baltimore. You're like, what is Aaron Judge doing?
Yeah, orange is not his color, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Who's your other favorite offseason move?
Well, I guess we're going down the line of the most buzzworthy. It would be the Carlos Carrera conundrum, whatever you want to call it.
Talk about the opposite of keeping it low key, like Aaron Judge was.
Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah.
Carlos Carrera made many a field trips where they basically were like, "Sorry, your mom said you can't spend the night. You got to go back home."
Yeah, no shit. It'd be nice to be wine and dined by every fucking team across the country just to have them turncoat.
Just some square doctor being like, yeah, we can't move forward with this guy. And they're like, but we like him so much.
Right. And it's as soon as he left the Giants, it was like, why even pursue? He should have gone right back to Minnesota right then and there. Why go somewhere else to have the same problems? And then what does San Francisco and New York Mets know that the Twins haven't realized, where they're like, yeah, we can't ensure this player will will be able to fulfill this contract. And so the Twins were like, yeah, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
We need some ticket sales probably.
Yeah, it's the Andrew McCutcheon model, I think. That's what we're gonna call it. Like just going home to where you started or where you feel the most comfortable. And I think Carlos Correa is just doing the victory lap, and I love that for him.
Right. I mean, at that point, you'd be going anywhere. You'd literally just be a fish out of water. Be like, someone please sign me. Someone please. I'll scurry back home if I
Guess
have
I'm
to.
going
Please,
to Baltimore.
please. I bet you he called the Houston Astros and was like, "Hey, can I come back to your fleeting organization?"
I did love I was looking into this a little more, and it was interesting that when it was going through all his different physical saga, he had said, quote, I had a lot of doctors tell me that it was fine. I had some doctors say that it wasn't so fine. It was shocking to me because since I had the surgery, I never missed a game. I never got treatment on my ankle. My ankle has never been hurt. And that's why he was failing physicals, apparently.
He sounds like he's got an Achilles heel packed in there somewhere where he lands on it at the wrong angle. It's just going to blow out massively. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I've had a lot of doctors tell me I'm fine, and they're clearly not right.
You know, this is the podcast here to say that doctors don't know what they're talking
doctors
about. Finally,
don't know what they're. Take it from me. You heard it here first.
Eric, Tyler, and Carlos Correa, the three leading anti-doctor sports talking heads you've ever heard of.
Yeah, wait to watch for our movement coming late summer.
That's terrible.
We're gonna take to the streets.
So moving right next, Trey Turner, 11 years, $300 million for the Phillies.
That's the big winner to me is Trey Turner. Trey Turner is probably the best player that was available out of the entire crop of free agents. And so I like him a lot. I'm not mad he's in Philly. I think he's a great fit. He's cool. He's smooth. You've seen those videos of his slides at home plate and shit. He's like the smoothest, most kind of like low key under the radar guy who just performs and is worth every dollar, I say.
I also think if you're going to make a pick for this year with the rules changes, Trey Turner is probably one of your best bets because you have less pickoffs. The man loves to steal. He's a fast dude. Yeah. The bases are bigger. If you're looking to like add someone to your lineup to squeeze out a couple of steals, like this is a great move for that with the rules change. I like this move based on the rule change the most.
And he is one that is going to benefit from the ban of the shift, I think. I'm pretty sure he hits a lot of his stuff right up the left field line. And I think he's been getting robbed with as far as the shift goes. So I think he's going to benefit from that. I also don't hate Philly. Philly really shocked the world last season, personally. Like, I didn't have them. That game where they beat the Cardinals in the playoffs, where they put on 6 in the 9th inning and then sent them fucking packing, like they shocked the world. Nobody thought the Phillies were going to beat the Cardinals in that round of the playoffs. And
was Bryce Harper already hurt at that point or no? Or am I?
No, I think he played in the World Series.
He did. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something else. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I try to not get seasons confused in this podcast. Yeah. That's my main goal.
I'm pretty sure he had injury, but he toughed it out because it was the moment. He had to show up. Because I don't like after how that played out, because I like the Phillies. I like that squad. I don't like Philadelphia's fan base, but I wish they don't win for the sake of the fans. I hope they lose every time. But the players on that team are some of my favorites. I mean, Schwarber's my boy. Nick Castellanos, another former Cub. JT Realmuto, one of the best catchers out of the last 10 years. And then they got like some young talent. They got that guy Bohm. They got a really fun squad. And so as soon as the Cardinals dropped out, I was kind of rooting for them to take it all. Like, especially in the World Series against the Astros, I was kind of hoping Philly was going to pull it off. And so they came out swinging in the playoffs. Like, that's a perfect example because they fired their coach. They had Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi would have gotten a World Series ring after having been fired if they would have made it and pulled it off. And so they were very much had no chance. They were like written off. They fired their coach. You know, they went from rags to riches last year. And so
I think I hate Kyle Schwarber. I love because he's a great ball hitter. Love watching him play. He's actually someone that's really going to benefit from the shift getting changed this year. So I'll be curious to watch him. He's not the top 10 people affected by the shift. We'll do that in another episode for sure. But I also hate him because I have a just a lingering hate for any Chicago
Any
Cubs
Chicago
player
Cub.
from 2016. Sorry,
You gotta get over it. You gotta get
Stinky,
over
get
it.
out of here.
It's been 6 years, 7 years.
I'll
You're
never
all right.
forget.
It's
Never.
fine. I wouldn't. I probably no one will forget. That was the greatest Game 7 of all time.
Every time I walk by the stadium, I'm like, it was the rain delay.
It
The
was,
rain delay. All right, that's not what this podcast is about. Justin Verlander,
but
2 years, 86 for the Mets.
yeah. I mean, personally, I think Verlander's washed up. I don't even care what happened last year. Like, I don't think he's got. I mean, he's clearly the Tom Brady of Major League Baseball at this point because he's 40 years old. He's still playing. He's still hurling. 2 years, 86 after what he did last season, totally well deserved. And then, but personally, I don't think about Justin Verlander at all in my world. And when he retires, I don't know. Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know. He probably will get in, but to me, I don't know. Personally,
I think
Verlander's not my guy.
the Mets are such an interesting team with like pitchers like that because I feel like they do a lot of spaghetti throwing at the wall where they're like, I don't know, we'll just keep like throwing random dudes money who we like think have got the juice and see if they do it. And I mean
Right.
the
The
like
Mets are
Jacob
like,
DeGrom experiment that they went through, like I mean, we'll see how he does with the Rangers this year, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, well,
yeah.
the Mets, they're just the
No,
Mets, you know?
the Mets are like, we're trying to be we're like the Yankees. We got money, we got stars, and it's like, no, you don't. The Mets are cursed, personally. We'll talk about that here in a little while. But
Okay.
uh and then continuing with the Mets, they did pull off what I think is probably the best. It's probably the best move other than Trey Turner is they signed Edwin Diaz for 5 years. They were walking the line of losing Edwin Diaz, and that dude's phenomenal. I seen a thing the other day. They are comparing him to Mariano Rivera. He's the new best ever. And
Interesting.
yeah, so he's my favorite. He's very energetic. That the intro music he has is top notch. Like that is some exciting shit when he comes in. And so I think it's great that he stayed with the Mets because it seems like a great fit for him. 5 years, $102 million is the highest contract ever for a relief pitcher. And I don't think there's anybody that deserves it more than him, personally. I think that's a great move. But I still think the Mets are cursed. But
I think it's
but
great anytime you can sign a player who like has some numbers that do it. And if you have like a fan, like get some fandom, like you said, like his intro music, iconic in New York now at this point.
right. No,
So how
it's a
could you
big show.
I feel like that adds like a couple mil just to be like, yeah, but like sure we got the stats and that's great, but like also come
Yeah.
on, we put like literal butts in the seats just wanting to hear that. It's like the Wild thing, like you know you want to hear Wild
Yes.
thing get played while Ricky Vaughn is walking out. You go to
Right.
literally hear and see it. So I'm for it. I'm
No.
excited for that.
No, he's got the
More of
rock
it.
star. He's got rock star status, and I'm for it.
Nice. All
Uh,
right.
Down the list next is Carlos Estevez signed 13.5 million for 2 years with the Colorado Rockies, which I personally think is a big win for the Estevez family. They've been kind of keeping quiet, haven't done a lot since the Mighty Ducks, and so great for Carlos Estevez. After that, you got the most heartbreaking one for me personally was Jose Abreu going to the Astros. Jose Abreu, we are the same age, me and him. We're both we're both
That is the
35.
worst part about sports, seeing people that are your same age or younger than you. That is
Oh,
truly the most heartbreaking part of following sports.
he made his Major League Baseball debut, and we were both the ripe age of 28. I was like, damn, I could still be in the game. 28-year-old Major League. He won the MVP a couple of years ago when he was 33 or something. I don't know. I forget which season it was, but in his 30s, he won league MVP of the American League. And I'm just over here like, wow, what am I doing with my life personally? But the Astros, everybody hates the Astros. I personally buried my grievance with them at the end of last season once I looked into their team and found out that most of the guys that were on the cheating squad are gone, and they've replaced them with these phenomenal foreign players that are playing that they can't get. Nobody wants to play for the Astros, so they went and got a bunch of people from different countries where they don't give a fuck because they just grew up throwing quarters at trash and shit, and that's how they know how to play. And once I learned that, I really leaned in, and I really like what they're doing down there. I know it sucks that they cheated and shit, but that was years ago. Different people. There's only 3 players left which I wish nothing but bad things for. But Framber Valdez, I didn't know who he was, and now I'm absolutely obsessed with him. And so
It's
their bullpen is phenomenal, and it's all these international players. I think it's really great for the game. I think it's fun to watch. I love it.
Yeah,
But
it's gonna be cool. I think it's like the opposite of like the Mets thing where you're getting paid a little bit to be like, listen, you're gonna go around in every game that you play. People are gonna boo or make trash can things. Like, I know you have
yeah,
nothing to do with that, but like unfortunately it's part of being on the team. So we'll give you an extra million just because we know you're gonna be harassed all the time. So
right.
yeah,
Plus,
and them winning it
it's
last year again, like really does for me, it like wanes off the stank a little, right? Like, how are you gonna hate on
right.
them for doing it again and be like, come on, go check the cans this time? It's like, okay, well,
Right. Like they've
whatever.
gone to the World Series most of the time. Like they've won their division. They usually win the pennant. And so they only got busted for cheating once. And so they really are phenomenal. But I used to love Aaron Bregman, but I don't anymore. I wish nothing but bad things for him. Alex Bregman. I don't even know his fucking name anymore. He fell off my list hard. Uh and but Jose Abreu, I'm kind of a big White Sox fan, and I was thinking the White Sox really had all the pieces they needed, but losing Jose Abreu is going to devastate that squad. And then I have a personal connection because we are the same age, and so, but good for him because he's from Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, I forget, but he'll fit right in with that squad. I kind of like the camaraderie that they have, all being from different countries, and so they all have something in common, and they're not just a bunch of spoiled rich white dudes that you could see like on the Dodgers or something like that.
And honestly, I'd want to play in a dome if I had the option to as well. So good for him.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's gonna love the weather out there as opposed to Chicago.
Yeah. Uh, keep
And
it
then
moving.
yeah, then like the last one that I really think worth mentioning is another heartbreaker for me was Wilson Contreras signed with the ultimate rival of the Cubs, the St. Louis Cardinals. As a Cubs fan, we all knew he wasn't staying because they didn't keep anybody, which is unfortunate, but they could have afforded to keep him. Contreras has played with the Cubs since he was 16 years old. He's been in that organization. It's the only team he knows. And
Mhm.
so it's very, very sad to see him leave the Cubs and then ultra sad to see him go to the Cardinals. But I think if anybody was going to replace Yadier Molina, it's going to be Wilson Contreras. And then low key, I hate to say it, but last year I was rooting for the Cardinals to win the World Series from day one. I figured they had the
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
So I hate the organization, but that team is really good, undeniable. And then Nolan Arenado is one of my absolute favorite players. He deserves the World Series, and the Cubs weren't going to do shit, so I was like, might as well see a squad that really kind of deserves it win. And so I hope to see him have an impact on that team, and I hope to see them back in the playoffs, and I hope to not see them absolutely crumble in the ninth inning like they did last year. So,
Well,
um,
only time will tell.
but yeah, but to me, those are the biggest individual moves of the offseason. There was a lot more that happened, but I think we covered kind of the best of the best.
Those are the
But
ones everyone's gonna be talking about going into the season. You know, those first couple at bats for everybody who have these big numbers. They're like, all right, are they gonna hit to make up for the contract? And you know, you look at like Aaron Judge, and you're like, all right, you got paid. Are you gonna like
oh,
show it was worth it?
the pressure is on. If he doesn't get a home run in his first three at bats, they're gonna boo him at Yankee Stadium.
Wow, first three at
First
bats.
three, if he's home runless by his fourth at bat, I bet you he gets fucking boos. That organization's fan base is so fickle. They'll tell you when they really don't like you. It's kind of sad.
Take out a full page article in the newspaper.
Right. It'll be something.
They
They'll
love
get
being
a
petty.
celebrity involved. It's like Jay Leno shits on Aaron Judge because Jay
uh,
Leno's around. I don't know. I think he
he's
lives in California.
he does. He
You
just got.
get it.
I get it. Look up Jay Leno information if that's what you're into. That's not what we're here for. Um,
Yeah.
you know,
But the
as I'm often gonna do, I'm gonna shoehorn my Cleveland, the Guardians in on it. They got rid of longtime catcher Austin Hedges, who I really liked for his off field and like his leadership stuff. Like he's always down to take a shirtless pic in the clubhouse, spray
whoa,
some champagne when they win the division. Like
party time.
he's a fun time guy.
I bet
Unfortunately,
he
he can't hit the ball.
I bet he loves strippers.
I bet most players in major any professional league are probably pretty pro stripper at the end of the day.
We'll do some independent research. We'll get some data on this and report back for the people.
But they got a different catcher who I'm worried about because it's Mike Zunino. And when I was looking at him, the first suggested search for him was what happened to Mike Zunino, and I'm like, great, that's an awesome way to start our season with a guy whose first related search is like, what up with that guy? So
it's like, where are they now?
And they're on my baseball team apparently.
I've never heard of him before.
Yeah, he only played 36 games last year. He had surgery on his non-throwing hand. They're taking a big little risk right now, thinking that he's going to be able to start hitting the ball, even though he just got the surgery and not really a great track record of it. Other note, Josh Bell, excited for him to come play first base. They really didn't know who was going to play first base for them last year. They kind of cycled through a bunch of people. I'm excited to have somebody a little more established at first base. Go
right.
Guardians.
Then he does bring the veteran mindset that they always look forward to, that young club. So I'm not mad at the Guardians. I love Terry Francona. I hope they do good things too. So
I posted this on some social media, but when you look at Terry Francona, you just look at him. He goes, "This man loves scootering and showing up to the ballpark. That is what he was put on earth for."
No, he is a gem among gems. Yeah, Terry. So yeah, I hope the Guardians do good things. Personally, I do not hold a grudge after the 2016 World Series, like some people may, and so I wish nothing but good things.
You don't have
for
a grudge
squad.
against them losing. That's so kind
no,
of you.
I don't feel bad at all. I feel mostly good about what happened.
Damn.
I think we should actually send them some flowers still to say thank you for blowing it.
I hate that. Anyway,
what
else?
I know.
What other
the Rangers?
Like?
The Rangers, man. The Rangers came out of left field, signed DeGrom, brought Bruce Bochy out of retirement, and don't have a squad. It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, I have the stats. They got Jason DeGrom, who, he's not going to pitch a whole. He's not healthy. He's not gonna be. He's already hurt.
That's definitely one of those signings where you're like, well, he's just a name everybody knows, so I guess we should give him money if we want him to come down here, and then just like assess what's going to happen from there moving on. But like you said, like everyone's basically saying like this guy's barely going to play games if he does. Like, well, I don't know. It's a risky call, man.
When he pitches, he's the greatest ever. When he doesn't pitches, it's pretty much most days.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, but I don't know. Like they got Corey Seager. They have Marcus Semien. They have Robbie Grossman. I don't know what you're going to do with this team. And then like they signed their other big deal signing was Nathan Eovaldi, which is a good signing. He had a great year last year, but after you get past DeGrom, you get past Eovaldi, they got nothing in their pitching squad. Like I looked up their closers. Their best closer has a 3.79 ERA, which is pretty good. But after that, their next best closer, solid 4.00 for Spencer Patton, and then Greg Holland a 5.14 ERA. That's what you're not shutting teams down. And then I don't see them scoring runs. All this money they spent, all these big names they got, it's going to get them like 8 more wins a season, and they ain't gonna make it still.
And they're doomed from like the start, because being in the AL West, you have a tough division, so you really have to be like putting it all out there and really on your top game if you think you're gonna like come out of the AL West, you know?
Right. Like the Mariners are hotter than hot. I think
they're looking good. They're one of my teams I'm the most excited about, because they're like a low key team you don't really think about. No one's like, oh boy, I love the Mariners. Like,
right. And everybody always, when they show up in the playoffs, I think everybody roots for them just because they never won it all. So
is that true? They've never won a pennant.
They've never won. It's them and the Brewers and the Padres, I believe, are the 3 teams that have never won the World Series.
Interesting.
So, okay. So the Mariners, maybe someday they'll get there, but.
All right. Well, how about this? So, who do you think's better? I see it on the list. I'll kind of shoehorn this one in. Dodgers or Yankees? Who's going to have a bigger season?
That's a great question. I'm gonna say the Yankees are gonna have a better season than the Dodgers, because I think the Dodgers lost a lot of key pieces, and they keep betting the farm on Kershaw, which is only going to continue to not pay off for them. The only time Kershaw won the World Series and was able to go to the distance was the 2020 shortened season. He doesn't have the juice to make it the whole way. And so they keep betting the farm on him. They re-signed him. They should have let him go. They lost some key offense. They lost Justin Turner. They lost Trey Turner. Uh, they, I think that and then you have to compare and contrast that to how good the Padres have been doing the last couple of years. So I think the West is going to be won by the Padres. Personally, I think the Dodgers are finally going to start struggling, and then the Yankees have always been in a good spot, and so I think the Yankees will still be able to compete. And so if it came down to Dodgers Yankees, I'm going to go Yankees.
Okay, yeah, I think what I've heard, and again, we'll talk about this probably at many times in the year, but I think everyone's kind of in the back of their head side-eyeing Ohtani and like how they can make the best case for him. And a lot of people are pointing out, like, I don't think the Dodgers are going as hard this year trying to like sign and make big name deals, kind of building up for next year to be like, we are ready to bring you home. Like,
right. No, I think Ohtani, I mean, I don't want to close the door on the Angels already, but Ohtani is probably going to be traded at the end of the season. And
before the year is over, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be the whole, because his contract's up, it's going to be the whole, what can we get for him?
Interesting.
Kind of deal. And so I could see him being shipped off to New York for sure. He's the biggest player. He's the number one ranked MLB player for the season. And so if the Angels don't make it, he's getting traded, I think. So the sweepstakes is on. I feel like a great fit for him would be St. Louis. I want to see him end up in St. Louis, but I don't think it's going to happen. But that's where I would like to see Shohei go. He's already a red uniform. He's used to it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, colors. That's what teams players are always picking teams based on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk about more of that in coming episodes. I have some bold predictions that I will make for next year on our next episode, around the season. Next episode, and we'll get to that. So
the team I do want to touch on the Cubs since we're talking about off-season moves. They kind of made the most, if you ask me. They had no squad last season, and then now they have the island of misfit toys, is what I call them. May have mentioned it before, but let's just go through their signings this year. Where Cody Bellinger, who I love, he's going to bounce back. There's already video of him taking Drew Smiley deep at spring training. I think he's going to shine. It's going to be a new field, new mindset, new situation for Cody Bellinger. He's going to switch it around. They also signed Eric Hosmer. He's always been a solid player coming out of San Diego. They got Trey Mancini. They won the Dansby Swanson sweepstakes. They got Tucker Barnhart. Like, they made so many moves in the offseason. They signed Jameson Talion, however you pronounce his last name. I think that's great just because his first name is Jameson. He lives in Chicago. It's a drunk place, from what I know.
He's ready for the Chicago handshakes. That's for sure.
He's ready for. He was born out of a Chicago handshake. Jameson. His nickname's JMO. I learned that today.
I want him to get an old style cape so he can be like, JMO, wearing old style.
And then they signed Drew Smiley, who was a 22-year veteran in the game.
But also, like, who's David Ross gonna talk to about how the way things used to be if they don't get some old vets coming in?
You gotta have somebody. Rossi's got to have somebody to talk to about the way things used to be. But yeah, Drew Smiley, he's bounced around pretty much every team, played for 22 years, and last year he had a 3.48 ERA. He still has the stuff. So I'm actually very hopeful. It's going to be very interesting to watch them get second place in the NL Central this season.
Listen, being right down the street from Wrigley, I'm happy when they do well, but I'm not rooting for it. Like, I can be like, sure, good for y'all, but I'm never going to cheer for the Cubs.
Yeah, you just literally like the song. You just like the song they play when they win at the end of the night.
I'm closer to it now than I was before, so I'm literally going to have to hear it if my windows are open. It's not great. I'm
kind of jealous, but
awesome. Well, anyway,
but yeah, that's what I think. It was a great phenomenal offseason. I think a lot of stuff happened. I think it was very interesting. I'm very excited to see how this all plays out for everybody, spending these millions, if not billions of dollars trying to make a wish to win the World Series. So I think it's anybody's game this year, personally.
Pay for the hardware, baby. That's what you got to do. And Cleveland will never do it.
So I got a question for you. Since, this is our thing. based on our episode here, is the question I want to ask you today is what current player would you choose to build your team around?
So I actually am gonna go opposite of what you said earlier, and I'm actually going to put Verlander as one of my staples. I decided to
Whoa.
pick up. I decided, do I want to pick someone, a pitcher, or someone that can hit the ball that I would like build on? I got to pick a pitcher. You could, if Moneyball has taught me anything, you can figure out dudes to hit the ball and get on base,
Okay.
but you got to have the stuff. You got to have somebody that's like been there, done the dance before. And I'm gonna put Verlander on my list actually of who I'm
As your
starting.
cornerstone, a 40-year-old cornerstone. All right.
Let's do it.
Good luck.
He's been pretty healthy. Like he's not someone that's been like plagued with injury where you have to like worry. Now, if we're gonna go from people we haven't talked to, I'll go the opposite, and I'm gonna take Stephen Quam as my person.
Okay.
Rookie first year with Cleveland, tore it up. Just amazing and super fun to watch. Super promising career. I hope he only builds from what he did last year. So those are my two players that I would build off of.
That's great. That's great. Those are two solid picks, I guess. One, what you're going to need Justin Verlander. We're going to get some funding from the AARP, and then you're going to bring in Quan, and he'll tell you what the youth is chatting about on the streets. He's got the
One can teach the
insight.
other how to TikTok, and the other can get some cheap deals when they go to the Olive Garden after games and get
Yeah,
the senior
yeah.
discount.
Let me show you how to save some money, kid. That's Justin Verlander
So
for
Eric,
you.
what player would you choose to build your team around?
I'm gonna go with a classic. If I had to build a team right now today, I know he's not currently signed to a squad, but I'm going with Bartolo Colon,
Oh my
baby.
God.
The one and only GOAT, the truest GOAT of all time. He still has the stuff. He's still cutting it up down in another country, and he's still pitching. He still see his highlights on his Instagram. He's still in the same amazing shape he's always been in.
I love that the question was what current players that we talked about would you build around, and you
He's current.
immediately were like, let me dig up Bartolo Colon.
He has not announced his retirement yet. This is a valid answer.
Jeez. Who from who we talked about today are you gonna pick to build around then? Let's double answer it.
Personally, I would probably, out of the people we talked about today, I would probably pick Trey Turner. He's got the stuff. He's got the future, I think, or him or Edwin Diaz. I would honestly build a team around Edwin Diaz. If you start with a phenomenal closer and go from there, all you got to do is get some runs and and hold it, and then make sure you have the lead, and then shut it down with Edwin Diaz. That would probably be my actual pick, since you
I
have
think
a
that's gonna
problem with
be the that's gonna
since
be
you're a Bartolo hater.
I'm not a hater. I think he played for Cleveland at some point. So
He did. He did play
yeah.
for Cleveland.
Well, I think this will be the trend where we have a question, you give the worst answer I could think of, and then I force you to give a real answer. So I'm excited to
All right, I'm
continue that trend moving
2 for
forward.
2 so far, batting 1,000 in this category.
I love it.
So
Awesome. Well, this has been a great episode. Looking back at a little bit of the off-season moves. Until next
yeah,
time.
squad started today. I'm in a good mood. So box scores are being checked going forward. So
All right.
that's
Well,
it. That's
that's
all I
it.
got.
Thanks for listening. Take care.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.